You the Cyclones from the film you watched?
Oh, they're very good. I mean, I think everybody knows that. But I think they're good for a lot of reasons. I mean, they got a lot of weapons. I mean, they can score, but they take care of the ball. They don't turn it over. At times, they don't play a big team, yet they're still a tremendous rebounding team. They're very athletic, go after the ball. They get a good blend of experience and some young guys that are playing well. And they seem to be just really playing well together, playing with a lot of confidence, I think.
What does DeAndre Kane bring to them that maybe they didn't have in the years past?
Well, I don't know about years past. I mean, I'm sure they've had guys like him in years past. I can only tell you what he brings to the team now. A really good player who can do a lot of things. He can score, he can post, he can play more than one position, he can have the ball, he's got great vision, finds people, plays at a great pace. He affects the game when he's out there.
You got a guy in Zach McCaffery who plays with a pretty high level of toughness. Are you going to need that across the board in this game, you think?
Yeah, I think we need that every game.
Yang's a kid that you recruited pretty hard. Has he become kind of the player you thought he was going to be at this level?
Yeah. I don't think I was a visionary. He was a terrific player the first time I saw him. He was going into his junior year. He was terrific. I've never seen him play poorly.
You and Fred hired about a month apart. You built your programs in totally different ways. What has impressed you the most about the way he's done it?
I think there's a lot of aspects to that question. I think everybody looks at how you assemble personnel. There's a lot more to it. How he assembles a staff, and what he runs, and how they play. I think he's done a really tremendous job in finding pieces that fit. And like you said, there's different ways to do it. It doesn't matter if you take high school kids or transfers or junior college players. It doesn't matter. You got to find pieces that fit. You got to fit them into your system, and you got to play the right way. And that's what they do.
Well, you've always been able to get pieces that fit your system. Instead of a lot of people are all carried away. This guy's top 100 player, but I assume you don't really put a lot of credence in that. You're just looking for the pieces, right?
Yeah, because a guy is rated a certain place doesn't mean he's that good. It might be. So, it's not like I don't want top 100 players. I'd love to have some. But, there's some guys I look at and I don't want him. I don't care if he's rated 24. I don't think he's that good. That's what this business is, so if I find a guy who I think is better, who's not rated in the top 100, I'm going to take that guy. I've always done that. It's not, like I said, it's not that we don't go after the top 100, we do. And, more times than not, those guys are really good. But they may not be as good as they're projected to be, or they might, they might have some other things that they're missing. And sometimes guys that are rated there, they get consumed with that, and they lose sight of the bigger picture, which means you're not where you need to be yet. You have to do it at the next level, and in order to do that, you have to have the right mindset to do that at the next level. You haven't arrived because a website rated you a certain place. I was a high school All-American. Okay, think anybody cares about that right now? I didn't make the pros. And a lot of guys who were not high school All-Americans made the pros.
I think it was Mike Bray who said that you built your program. It's a blueprint. You've done it methodically. It's a blueprint for success that way. Is that the pattern you followed since you became a head coach, or is that kind of evolved?
No, I've always done it the same exact way. Same exact way. At Greensboro, at Siena, and the way we did it at Lehigh. Lehigh was a mess. I wasn't the head coach when I got there. I was the assistant, and I worked with Tommy Schneider, and we put it together piece by piece. Then he left after 2 years, and I continued it. they hadn't been to a conference semifinal. We went to 2 NCAA tournaments in that period of time. So, you know, again, we put pieces together. Guys that wanted to compete, guys that were student athletes, people with character. So it's not only, you know, positionally and skill sets, but it's the right character and the right mix. You know, because you need guys that ultimately are going to accept their role. And, you know, that can be problematic today. You recruit too many of the wrong guys that are rated at a certain place, and, you know, the minute they don't play 36 minutes, they want to transfer. You know, so you got to be careful about that. And that's how you get everybody to fit. You know, I think we've done a good job of that.
That's the same style you followed here.
Yeah.
I've heard you, well, you just did it a few minutes ago, but you and your players be extremely complimentary of Iowa State, and I've heard Fred and his players the same about you and your players. Is the rivalry different among the competitors than it is among the fans?
You know, I think certainly in this case it is. But I mean, I've been involved in a lot of different rivalries in my life, and they're all different. No less intense. Pretty much everywhere you are has a rivalry game. I think oftentimes it's another conference opponent. You know, so it's kind of like it's a rivalry plus, you know, we've got to go through you to get there, and you've got to go through us to get there. And this is a rivalry game. You know, we don't have to go through Iowa State. They don't have to go through Iowa to win the championship. Okay? So it's a little bit different that way. But, you know, what you have to be able to do is recognize, you know, what they're doing. They're undefeated. You know, you look and say, okay, well, what's special about what they did? Well, they beat Michigan. It was a highly rated team. Then you know, on a plane and they fly out to Utah. That is a very difficult place to play, maybe one of the toughest in the country, and they win again. And they're down 18 points with 16 minutes to go against a very good Northern Iowa team, and they come back and win with no panic. I mean, so those things get your attention. You know, you respect the players that you've played against in years past. You know, our guys know George Niang and Edgem and those guys. I mean, they got a lot of different players that we respect. And appreciate that they respect what we're doing. You know, Fred and I have gotten to know each other real well since I got here. I have tremendous respect for him and how he's built it. You know, and you know, consider him a friend, and you know, we'll try to beat each other on Friday night, but you know, that's about it.
Statistically, you guys are so alike, even though your style of plays are a little bit different. I mean, you both average around 90, average almost exactly 46 rebounds a game, and hold opponents to right around 36% from a game. What are some of the things that makes Iowa State go offensively, and how is that different from the way you guys run, say, your transition?
Well, they run more sets, but you know, they really share the ball extremely well. I think that's the most impressive thing with their assist turnovers, especially with their big guys. You know, they really find open people. Very unselfish team, you know, and it's not always the case when you have that many good shooters. It just doesn't always work that way. And I think that's what's really worked for them. You know, we run a little more transition, a little more motion. Not that they won't run; they obviously run. They're scoring in the 90s, but you know, we really rely on that quite a bit.
But can you talk about playing Hilton, especially because a lot of your younger players haven't been